Hi, I'm Mary Greendale, and this is Just Thinking. Welcome to our annual series of interviews of candidates for local government offices. The town election is May 20th. We have contests for select board between a challenger and an incumbent. For Park Commission, we have 4 candidates for 2 open seats. For School Committee, we have 4 candidates for 2 seats with 1 incumbent. And for Library Trustees, we have 4 candidates for 2 seats. 2 candidates are incumbents, but 1 incumbent declined to be interviewed. That was an incumbent for the library. I am interviewing all these candidates. I have prepared specific questions for each board or committee. Each candidate will respond to the same questions for that office in their interview. I ask a few different questions of incumbents to reflect their years of service. Voters can compare the candidates' responses. The interviews are done one at a time and will be posted when all the candidates for an office have been interviewed. My goal is to have the videos run 30 minutes, except maybe longer for School Committee. I had a lot of questions. The videos will be available on HCAP's website, on HCAP's YouTube channel, and on our Facebook page. Let's get started. So let me introduce you to Sinead Arsenault, who is running for the Park Commission.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, and just feel comfortable. We're just in my kitchen. It's okay. A funny kitchen without a stove, without a sink or anything useful, but at any rate, we'll pretend, okay?
I love it, thank you.
So what drew you to the Park Commission? Why did you decide to run for this?
So first of all, thank you for having me here. I know that it's creating a lot of excitement in Parks and Rec right now, so there's 4 different candidates for 2 spots, so it's exciting to let everyone know a little bit more about each candidate. What drew me in for Parks and Rec was really my friend Nicole Downen, who is also running. Put the bug in my ear, and the 2 of us share a lot of the same passions and interests. We're great friends, and when she mentioned it to me, we kind of got excited about going down the same journey together. So if you don't know Nicole, I know you'll meet her soon. She is an amazing person. She is very determined and full of heart, so she will definitely have my vote, and the town would be very lucky to have her to come in.
Okay, this is your time, huh? So describe your interest in the parks, and do you have any personal goals for your term?
Yeah, so my interest is as I started thinking about running for Parks and Rec, and I know Brian McDonald well, so I called him and asked him a couple of questions about Parks and Rec. He got me really excited as he told me about the programs that we have planned for the future, and he let me know about the personalities on board. So that also got me really excited. But what really sparked my interest was when I started to get the signatures and listening to other people's feedback, and it was all very positive. But the questions that they had, I didn't know a lot of the answers. So of course, I tried to get as educated as I can, and I would say that's one of my personal interests, is to learn and to keep an open mind as I go down this path of the unknown. And I've lived here for 11 years with my husband and my 4 kids. I was actually born in Ireland, and we settled in Franklin, so I met my husband there. And we decided about 10 years ago, I was lucky enough to make the decision to stay at home full-time with my kids. So the parks and the programs have really helped me raise my kids and keep my sanity along the way. So I feel as though another personal interest of mine would be to give back to the town that has given me so much joy along the years.
Okay, great. Do you have a particular education or experience that will be especially relevant to this office?
So yes, originally I went to Framingham State University to become a teacher. I've always loved kids. I babysat. I think my first job was when I was 9. If that's good or not, I'm not sure. I nannied throughout the way. In high school, I also worked for a summer program that was run by Skyhawks, which we actually use today as an outside vendor. So it's kind of cool that they're still around. And as I was going to school to be a teacher, teacher, I got recruited by one of the people that I babysat for to get a job at TJX as an intern. And I loved the career path there to become in merchandising, to become a buyer. So I was there for 10 years. I left as a senior buyer, and who would have thought Parks and Rec and buying would kind of correlate, but after walking through it, I'm seeing a lot of similarities as far as creating a vision, right, executing a strategy. We would go comp shopping and see other areas to make sure that we're staying relevant. And also, we would set priorities and we would put out fires. So it seems like some of those things would help here.
What has been your personal experience with the park programs? I mean, what kinds of things have you participated in?
So we have used the park programs a lot over the years, starting with preschool programs. When we first moved here, I feel like we had opportunity in the preschool programs, and since Mark has been on board, he's really done a great job with the preschool program. So my first two didn't get a lot of experience in them, but my second two really did. So they were able to do the multi-sport programs and the T-ball programs. And then going to Goodwill, we did a lot of summer camps in Goodwill, which was also a great program. We met a lot of babysitters there too, which was very, very, very helpful. And then moving to Camp Potoma. My kids use that in the summer. They love it. We laugh about, like, is it harder to get a Taylor Swift ticket or get into Camp Potoma? It's really, really hard to get in. You have to log on at a certain time.
Yeah.
If you're not logged on and click the button in 2 minutes, you kind of miss your chance. So
It's under demand, yeah.
Yes,
sure.
and the kids love it. They love the camp. They really do a great job with it. And I guess my kids have done pickup basketball programs. My husband does the old man softball league, if that's what you want to call it. That's what he calls it.
Senior.
Yes. And I've most recently done pickleball lessons, which is fun.
Okay.
Yes. I'm not an expert, but.
Oh, that's all right. That's all right. Okay, you're going to be one of 5 people if elected. How are you at working on a team, and what experiences have you had that can help you there?
So as I mentioned, I worked at TJX, and we collaborated as a team all the time. They would bring in like outside people to teach you kind of how to work as a team. So I feel as though I have a good understanding of kind of personalities, I guess. I used to love listening. They brought in Myers-Briggs personalities, so I love learning about introverts and extroverts and perceivers and judgers and thinkers and feelers, all of those things. So I'm personally an introvert, so I learn by kind of watching, and I'm not afraid of conflict. I think that really good things happen with healthy conflict, right? That push and pull conversation. So I think I have a pretty good understanding of relationships, and I'm excited to get to know the board more. I was lucky enough to know Brian McDonald. He coached my daughter in first grade for soccer. That's how I met him. Him and my daughter and his daughter are good friends. He coached her in basketball for the past 4 years. And Brian actually also, he's head of he used to be head of the baseball and softball program. And he hand delivered a signed T-ball to my son for the first time because he was sick. So he's a great guy, and he is nice enough to introduce me to Dick and to Shaw, who are also on the board. And Shaw was nice enough to meet Nicole and I at Coffee Haven, and we picked his brain for a couple of hours. I know Mark and Shannon, they have also answered a lot of my questions, so I feel like I'm excited to get to know them better if I get voted in.
Terrific. Is there a particular issue that you're interested in? One particular, and I think of this as being, you see something that could be improved, you see something new that you might add, whatever it might be.
Yes. So I think awareness of how we fund our projects interested me a lot. As I did some digging, the CPC, which is the Conservation Preservation Coalition, really intrigued me, and I was very proud that Holliston is part of that. So we give, I hope I'm not overcomplicating this, but it seems like we give 1.5% of our property tax minus $100,000 into a kitty, and that goes into a kitty within the town, which I believe then goes into a trust for the state, and they match some of that funding, and it goes into projects for recreation, for open space, for historical projects, and for low-income housing. I found it fascinating that that's how we fund the bigger projects in town, and I also love that there is a public database, so you can go on to surrounding towns and kind of see what they're up to and stay relevant with what they're doing. As far as areas that I'm interested in also would be like the summer camps, right? So trying to figure out how, after talking to Shannon, it seems as though there's about 100 kids that get into Potoma per week, and then there can be upwards of 50 kids on the waiting list, and that's when they just stop even trying, right? Yeah. So there's more opportunity there, and it seems as though what's holding us back might be the shelters for when there's bad weather. So if we can do something to help assist that, I think that it could create more opportunity at the parks.
Interesting. So there are fundamentally two different components to the commission's work, and there's some discussion at different times in history about whether or not they should be separated. That would be the parks, the tangible properties and how you manage them, who takes care of them, that kind of thing. And then there are the programs. Those would be the services, the trying to expand the number of opportunities for kids to go to summer camp. Is there one aspect of that that's more interesting to you than another?
Yeah, I thought about this a lot, and I really feel like both of them complement each other so well. So obviously the programming and the parks together bring physical activity to the community. They bring social interaction, right? They bring that town pride and the vibe that people want to stay connected and be part of the town. And then the parks alone, right, would actually increase the property value and bring in some other businesses from other towns and people from other towns. And then the actual programming kind of motivates people, especially in this day and age, to have a scheduled time to get out of the house, right, and to be part of a specific program and to meet new people. So I think I would be interested to learn about both of them and how they could continue to complement each other.
Okay. So do you, off the top of your head, given that you haven't had the opportunity to think a whole lot about it, but do you think that the town should consider separating them? And the thought has been, and that's just one thought at one time, the commission, it is partly because it's so much work. Okay, it's the amount of time that it takes the commission on both halves. Okay, so you can spend a lot of time worrying about whether or not the fields, and you'll find that the playing fields are a big deal. People are either upset because there aren't enough, or they aren't in the condition that they want them to be, or that whatever. So you have this whole bundle, and then over here you have the bundle that is, we really need some additional programming, or we need to change what we've got. We don't have enough. We need to do more with adults, So it's just been a function of that. The only option I can ever remember hearing about was that the hardware, the stuff to do with the fields themselves and that kind of thing, would go to the DPW, and they would figure out what to do. You'd obviously still have to have some oversight of what was being done, I suppose. I don't know how it would work, but any quick thoughts about that?
I think that I personally feel like they would not benefit from being separated, only because I think one colors the other. And I think that the DPW would be a separate conversation as far as how they can help assist the Parks and Rec programs, but I do think that they really do complement each other. And with talking to Shannon and Mark, they have a lot of insight on both of those.
And the DPW does indeed help a lot. There's no question. I didn't want to suggest that they don't already.
Yes, yes,
Before I get anybody mad at me. Anyway, are there any ideas or concerns about the properties themselves? Have you seen things that you've said to yourself, oh, this would be so much better if we, did such and such with the, Goodwill Park or any of them?
So I think on this one, I think that the commission currently has done an incredible job with the baseball fields. So when my kids first started, my boys first started playing baseball 4 years ago, there's been a significant difference. You know, even this week was the first time that a complaint is that the fields take a long time to open. And just this week, I had an email saying the fields are open, so DPW is doing an amazing job getting those fields up and running, which is incredible.
Considering how wet it's been.
I know,
really
I'm
amazing.
very surprised, yeah. But the kids are excited to get to practice, I think, 2 weeks earlier than what they had planned on doing. Brian and the current commission have done a great job with the high school fields for baseball. They're going to continue to work on it for softball. And I'd love if we could continue to grow and work on the trickle-down effect of what that would mean for the youth fields, because I don't know what it takes to run an A or to have an A+ field, right? But I do know as a bystander of the sport that you feel that vibe, you feel the pride within the youth sports when you're at a great complex. I feel like that's missing a little bit within baseball, whether it be, you know, bathrooms at the facilities or concession stands or lights, right, if they get to play under the lights. So in baseball specifically for the summer, we pay other surrounding towns to be part of their tournaments. So a dream would be in the long term to slowly pick away at a plan to maybe be able to do that so we could take money from other towns and we could host something.
There was a day, and we had not baseball, but for soccer. We used to be the soccer center of the free world, it seemed. And in May, there was one weekend, I think it was the long weekend, that there would be, you know, activities or games at absolutely every place, every hour on the hour, day and night practically. You know, it was just intense, very intense.
Yeah.
Don't know what happened to that. But
well, Marshall Fields is pretty active when you're over there. That's a great complex.
I think
also.
that came as a result of all that activity, but there were other fields around town too. So
yeah,
anyway.
And I think also like lights. I know it might be hard with the neighbors that surround the facilities, but maybe we pick a facility that neighbors wouldn't be bothered. It's a long winter, right? It gets dark at 4:30, so if we can get these kids outside under lights. Currently, we have them, I think, under a softball field, and the football players use it at Adams. But that would be great. And if we can't do a concession stand, because I know that's a lot of money, maybe we partner with TC Scoops or some type of food truck that can come and give us that experience at the fields.
Or we buy an old food truck, right? And that's part of the program is kids, we're going to retrofit this truck.
Yes.
There you
go.
go.
Fun. Look at you.
Paint it yourself. I want to talk about the lake a little bit because there are some folks who've called this lake our crown jewel, and then with the next breath will criticize how little has ever really been done with it. Obviously, there are a lot of problems as a result of some of the treatments and care that we did years and years ago under the best advice and so forth and so on, but we end up with these monster weeds that, you know, persist. I don't know how much you know about that. As I mentioned to you beforehand when we were talking, there's a history book that came out last year. In there's a conversation about the lake because it really has been a hot point. And I know Shaw Lively, who has been chair of the Park Commission, is very interested in this. How do you see the lake fitting into everything else? I know it does in the summertime. I suppose if we had ice in the wintertime, you know, those years when we have ice fishing and we have ice skating, but it just still feels like it's underutilized.
Yes.
Any thoughts about that?
Yes, I do. I think that the lake is a crown jewel. It's amazing because all of the parks, we have 3 parks, I believe, that really surround it, if you count Potoma as kind of interconnecting to Stoddard there. I think it's amazing we do the swim lessons, right? We have Camp Potoma just for the first time put canoeing in over the summer to add that into their program. And people do fish on the pond, correct? I don't think we can eat the fish.
Yeah, you're discouraged from eating the fish because there was dioxin in the water, and I guess there's still traces of it in the weeds.
Yeah. So I think the lake itself seems like a complicated situation that I would love to learn more of. I believe that there may be residents that live around the lake that are trying to help with the weed situation.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. So I would look forward to figuring out what we can do, because it is owned by the state, correct? The actual lake itself.
Well, actually, it's one of those things. It's a great lake, and or whatever they call them, great pond. I can't remember now, but whatever. It is owned by the state, but we have like a lifetime lease on it. It's not like it ever comes up for renewal or anything else like that. I mean, it's just our lake. The difficulty, or the advantage maybe, is that because it does have some state participation, then we have to keep, an open area so that there's public access to people who aren't necessarily from Holliston, and I don't personally have an issue with that. And there are some other restraints in terms of what we can do to the lake, but they probably those restraints would probably still be there even if we owned it. They would be about what you can use in the lake or what you can to clean the weeds or processes. But they also provide grants, so it's a possibility that we could find funding to help with some of that.
Yeah, it's a great location with the parks surrounding it, right? We have the tennis ball, the basketball, we have volleyball, we have all of those soccer fields, baseball fields, softball fields. So it is the playgrounds. So it is an exciting place to be. And I think since they put the summer concerts there last year, I don't even think they're going back, because it's such a nice.
It just works.
Yeah. I
thought it was brilliant to do that. I don't know why we'd never thought about it. It's always forever been across the street at Goodwill. But anyway, in terms of operations of the parks, and maybe the way your mention of how quickly people sign up for the Camp Potomac, that's an operation, it's a process, okay? So I'm wondering if you've come across any other kinds of operations that might be places that we could improve. When you talk about you can't get access fast enough to be able to meet the demand, to get your chance to get a kid into a program. It's kind of like, okay, we can't make the lake bigger, but what other options are there? And I don't know what they are, or if there are any, but
in order to get more people enrolled in the program. I talked to Shannon about this, and she had said that it would really be an additional shelter that would help with creating more spaces. It wouldn't be an additional shelter that would be similar to the shelter that we have. Her suggestion would be to maybe put up a bunch of different shade shelters throughout the park, so that when it is bad weather or maybe it's just too hot, they can go in there and alleviate themselves from that. Shaw Lively actually spoke about an idea of maybe putting a bigger structure that could provide some protection in bad weather for the campers, but also maybe even to host like weddings, and it's such a beautiful spot. So I don't know, I think there would be ways to maybe be creative to get more kids enrolled in the camp, because it is. And the other part of it that gets affected is the CITs, right? So I applaud Shannon and Mark. They're honing in. They're creating less positions for CITs because they really want to get quality out of the program. So they want to do it in the right way instead of having too many kids that don't have enough to do. But in turn, that would also help with creating leadership with these teenagers if we could get more kids in there, so that we could have more spots for CITs that would open up.
The kids who become CITs always love it so much. I mean, I think, they feel so grown up.
Yes, they do, right?
Work with these little kids,
Yes.
But going back to the processes and the operations, when you interact with the department, not as a candidate, but you're looking to do something, sign up for something, or even know about what's going on, is all of that good? Is it all working well? Do you think it's all?
I think communication could be better, right? If
for
that's what you
everything and
mean.
everybody.
For everything, and in this town, it also seems to be something that people are trying to figure out. Okay, if there's a big issue, how are we all going to find out about it?
Yeah.
once you get into the website, it is really easy. They've done a great job with that. As far as blasting out what's happening, what new programs there are, or what projects we're working on, and with getting the signatures, and even myself, I didn't really know, that Goodwill was going to be completely redone, which is so exciting that we could potentially have pickleball fields at Mission, that we're working on potentially basketball courts over by Adams, and then the bike park could be really exciting that we're working with NIMBA on. So how do we get that communication out there? I do think that the website is fairly good. I think sometimes they do have issues like, oh, I got this far and I got stuck. But Shannon's really good with kind of working all that out. But in general, in the town, I don't know what the answer is. I do drive everywhere. I am an Uber driver, basically, for my 4 kids. And I did notice last week, driving by Medway outside of Choke Park, they do have like an electronic sign that will flash, like, come to this meeting tonight about, X, Y, and Z. And that's a way to kind of get things out. I don't know what it means for us. Or what the best way is to communicate it, but it seems like it's a void.
Yeah. There's been talk about putting one of those on the front lawn of Town Hall for a long time. But there are so many needs and so many demands. But I do think that not just parks, but all of government needs to be as communicative as possible. So the more we can think and talk and work on that project collectively, I think we'll find solutions.
Yes, and we've had, as they've been talked to about like community kind of get-togethers and things like that. So.
Yeah. There are a lot of ideas. We'll see what happens. Okay. So at this point, I give you 2 minutes that you can talk actually, you'll talk to that camera. Okay, and you can just say whatever it is you have to say as to why people should vote for you.
Okay. Thank you for your consideration. I hope that by watching this, you can get a feel for who I am as a person. I will say, going back to being born in Ireland, I moved over here in 1990. We got our citizenship in 1997. I bring it up because my parents worked so hard. They had 4 kids. I think at the time we were like 6, 7, 8, and 9. We were all a year apart. And they really worked their way up and pursued the American dream. And I just bring it up because that's a quality that's instilled in me, is to be very hardworking. And this is a very fun position to come in and see how I can help enhance the lives of the Holliston residents and work with the current commission, because right now it seems to be thriving and there's so much excitement that's going on in Parks and Rec. So I would be happy to be a part of it.
Okay. Well, the election is on May 20th.
Yes.
And it takes place at the high school as always. And the doors open at 7 in the morning and close at 8 p.m. So keep that in mind. Sinead Arsenault is the candidate that you have heard today. And we will be back with other candidates as the days move forward. So thanks very much. Take care. Thank you for watching Just Thinking. You've done your homework. Now please remember to vote on May 20th. It's important for you, your family, and our community. Thank you.